Ken Trahan along with Lenny Vangilder. It's our first NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. Let's start with the Pelicans because they came off of a home win, impressive against Oklahoma City. Starting the road trip at Golden State, who's been lights out this year. Boy, can they score. And then back-to-back games in Los Angeles against the Clippers and the Lakers. Lenny entering the road trip at 500 on the season off of arguably, one of their best performances, certainly in the first half against Oklahoma City. What's a good road trip here?
One win? I don't know. 2-1 would be great in my mind. Obviously, Golden State and Memphis are right now playing like the two best teams in the league. Will it end up that way? I don't know. But Golden State has been unbelievable thus far this year. That's going to be tough to win. And then if you can, if you throw that one out, if you can somehow get a split in LA on the back-to-back Saturday and Sunday, then that puts you at 1-2. But this is, look, you got to lump this whole thing together as we talked about. They are in the midst of a stretch of 9 of 11 on the road, and that's tough on even the best teams in the NBA. So just get through it. The schedule gets a little more friendly starting next week. By the way, LeBron comes to town a week from Friday. Just saying. So that's a little something to look ahead to. But this is the last of that tough stretch. Basically, this about a month stretch here where they've played just 2 games in the Smoothie King Center.
Tulane finishing its regular season in football against Temple. It's a unique matchup, one that we don't see. And obviously it's a game playing for pride, playing for jobs next year, and positioning more than anything else.
Yeah, and it's what's interesting here is you got 2 teams playing totally different scenarios. Tulane, you want to finish on a high note, go into the recruiting season, go into the offseason feeling good about things. Temple's playing to become bowl eligible. They're 5-6. Now, will they get a spot? I don't know. I mean, there's more right now as we get ready for Bowl Sunday, if you will, and it will be a lot of information coming out on Sunday. There are more bowl eligible teams than there are slots. As everybody thought when this thing grew again and they were up to 76 spots, there's no way they can fill all those spots. You're going to end up having to take 5 and 7 teams or, whatever it is. Well, guess what? There's more teams than you have spots at this point that are 6-6 or going to be 6-6 or better. But Oklahoma State can also play themselves into bowl eligibility this weekend. So it's it's going to be interesting to see. It'll be a fun Sunday to see how all of these spots end up playing out in terms of the bowl picture.
And speaking of bowls, we'll find out Sunday, indeed, about LSU, where they're going, about Louisiana Tech, where they may be going, and about Louisiana Lafayette, and if they're coming back to New Orleans.
Well, I think we'll have the official word on UL Lafayette a little bit sooner than later. Headed back to New Orleans for the 4th consecutive year. The question is, who will they play in a New Orleans Bowl? December 20th, a little brunch in the Dome, if you will. It's going to be a 10 a.m. kickoff, so get good night's sleep the night before and get ready to come enjoy some football. And I got a feeling we'll see a lot of that color you're wearing come a couple of weeks from now here in New Orleans.
Yep, Tech with a really good year. We'll see what happens with the Bulldogs. LSU right now remains to be seen. It's really all about the Texas A&M factor, and if one doesn't want to play the other, then LSU will end up in Houston. If not, well, they could end up in 3 or 4 places.
Yeah, Jacksonville would seem the most likely destination of those, and a lot of things. Could the SEC somehow get how's that all going to play out in terms of who gets into the playoff? Does that occupy, or how many teams get into that group? Not just the 14 playoff, but how many teams get into those 6 bowl games, the New Year's Six as they're calling them, the 2 semifinals plus the 4 others? Do they get 3 teams in? Do they get 2 teams in? How does that all play out in terms of the whole trickle down effect on that affects teams like LSU, who obviously are not a factor, although they are back in the top 25 at number 24 here in the latest college football playoff rankings.
And shout out to Southeastern. They lost, of course, in the first round of the playoffs, but still a good season. And to Southern, number 1 in the Sheridan poll this week off of their thrilling win in the Bayou Classic over Grambling. For once, the game lived up to expectations and it matched the festivities.
It really did. And, you always talk about, halftime. And that's certainly the star of the show, but the game was certainly every bit as good as the halftime show this year. Southern and Alcorn State for the SWAC Championship Saturday. Speaking of Houston, that game is played in Houston, and Jaguars looking to win back-to-back SWAC titles.
And, of course, the New Orleans Saints at home Sunday against Carolina, a chance to start a certifiable win streak after their win in Pittsburgh. Carolina's really struggled mightily on paper. This certainly looks like the Saints all the way, but with the way the season's gone, you can't assume that.
Exactly. You can't assume anything at this point. It'd be real easy to say Saints roll in this game, but we've gone from a year's worth of can't win on the road, can't lose at home, to the last month of can't win at home and can't lose on the road. 5 straight games now where the Saints have either won on the road or lost at home. Ideally, for the Saints, that streak breaks on Sunday. You think Carolina's playing out the string. Let me tell you, Carolina's a game and a half out right now. They win Sunday. Atlanta goes to Green Bay Monday night. It's suddenly a 3-horse race again. It is not just Saints-Falcons at this point, and I'm sure the folks in Charlotte are very aware of that. And, tiebreakers there won't matter because obviously they've got that tie against Cincinnati early in the year that would give them the opportunity just to win this thing outright and perhaps steal it. It's far from over as far as the Panthers are concerned.
And, of course, high school football state championships being decided this Friday. 4 of those in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome starting at 10 in the morning, ending at about midnight. And we'll be there with the original 6:05 live from the Superdome. And then as part of our original Prep Football Report, we'll have the Jesuit John Curtis broadcast starting at about 8:05, 8:10, or somewhere up in there as part of the original. And we'll have that broadcast for you. That's on WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com, and on stations statewide. So we hope you'll listen in to that. And semifinal games going on the same night as well all over the state, including Trahan, Warren Easton, West St. John playing. So keep an eye on SportsNola.com, game previews, and, of course, game stories to follow. Dizzying. I'm tired. I'm shutting up. I'm done.
I'm done, too. We'll see you later next week.
That's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.